And welcome to New Teacher Notes. This is Dr. Lenora Foster, and I'm here to discuss with you today decorating and organizing your classroom. Now, whether you're a teacher who is in one physical classroom for the duration of the day, you're a virtual teacher, or you're a floating teacher, meaning that you are floating from one classroom to the next across campus, there are some fundamental things that you need to keep in mind. Let's start with the physical classroom. First thing you need to consider is where to place your teacher desk. There are three things you need to consider with that. First of all, where are your technology outlets? Where you plug up your desktop or your laptop to the Ethernet outlet, whether you need to connect your laptop to the smart board or what have you, you need to take that into consideration. The next two things would be visibility and proximity to the classroom door. This is all a part of classroom management. This helps you to be close to the door when greeting your students, when entertaining visitors coming to your classroom, and also to apprehend anyone who may be coming into the classroom who is unauthorized in the building or to your specific classroom. So this is a vital part of classroom management as you're thinking of where to place your teacher desk. Now, as far as how to place your student desk, it all depends on your philosophy of student learning. Now, if your class is more individualized learning, then your student desk will be separate and perhaps in rows. If your philosophy of student learning is more collaborative, small groups, project-based, then your student desk may be paired, or they may be in small groups of 3s or 4. I would not advise that you have any groups larger than 4, clusters of 4 in your classroom. Now, if your philosophy of learning may fluctuate between individualized learning and small group learning or project-based learning, then you will need to figure out, okay, how can I transition from individualized learning to group learning and vice versa in an efficient, quiet, and fluid way? So you will need to think about all of those things, process that. Now, many of my mentee teachers have asked me in the past, how do I even get started decorating the class? I want to have a theme in the class. I want to have the school mascot is owls. So I want to have owls over here and, have references to owls and what have you. Where should I get started? Well, I'm going to speak to you from the standpoint of instruction. Themes are wonderful and go for it, and students love it, and it creates a warm, learning, nurturing environment. So that's wonderful. I want you to think about primarily the balance that you have with your posters and your decorations versus evidence of student learning. You want to make sure that you have posters that are informational, posters that are dealing with skills and skill set, posters that are dealing with references and resources. Okay, so you want those type posters. Inspirational, motivational posters are wonderful, but you need to balance the number of posters that you have versus opportunities to showcase student learning. Okay, so just keep that in consideration. Now, here's a tidbit. Most of my posters within my classroom are homemade. I realized very quickly within the first few years of teaching that commercialized posters are expensive, and sometimes they really don't cater to exactly what I'm doing in my classroom with the skill sets that I'm utilizing in my classroom. So I thought about, what are some things I really want my students to learn? Okay, what are some key words? Maybe I want to create a vocabulary wall. Maybe I want to have a skill set. And as I mentioned in an earlier video, habits of mind. So I want to focus on habits of mind as a skill set that they should start utilizing. So I created my own posters, laminated them, and put them up. It's much more economical to do your own, and it's catering to exactly what your philosophy of learning is within your classroom. Okay, so balance between the posters and the decorations and opportunities for students to showcase their learning. You should always have in your classroom some space, some area to have recognition of students and their achievement in your classroom. You should also have a designated space within your classroom where students can interact with you. They can say, they can put up sticky notes that says, this is what I learned from the lesson today, or questions on a parking lot board that says, I got this part of the lesson, but I'm still confused about this. Tamar, can you explain this a little bit more? Or I think I need a little bit more help. Can you tutor me in this area? So have opportunities for them to ask those questions or to showcase things that they've learned. Now, if you're a virtual teacher, everything I just said, you need to incorporate that in a virtual way. Okay, so in your virtual classroom, such as Schoology or Google Classroom or maybe Canvas, you need to have a space where they can ask questions, a space where they can say, this is what I learned, this is what I got, this is what my takeaways are. You need to have a space where they have their notes. That they have access to notes, they have access to video clips, they have access to resources and references, they have access to directions to assignments, they have access to assignments that are detailed. Anything that you provide in the classroom, in a physical classroom, you should be pretty much able to provide in a virtual classroom. So take the time. It is an investment. Take the time to set up your Schoology format, your Google Classroom, or your Canvas format to make sure that all of those aspects are taken care of within your virtual classroom. Now, if you are a floating teacher, your situation is a little different. I would advise that first of all, you invest in a roller cart, or maybe some teachers use a utility wagon. So those fundamental things that you know you need with you, no matter where you are, you need your laptop, you need your teacher manuals, you need your, Sharpie markers or what have you. Make sure that you can carry those without lifting. You can roll those from one classroom to the other. But besides that, my suggestion is that you adopt the format of a virtual teacher. If your school has one-to-one, meaning that every student has their own laptop, then I would go ahead and set up a virtual classroom just like a virtual teacher would. And your students would have the benefit of you being right there in the classroom with them. So whether you're in the science room, in a biology room, or you're in the art room, or you're in third grade class or what have you class, you can create your own learning environment virtually. So students, even though they're in a different classroom, they can adapt to a virtual learning environment that is unique to your classroom, no matter where you go in the building. So that's my suggestion. All right, so if you have any questions, I do welcome any questions you may have. If there's a topic that I have not covered and you would like me to go into that a little bit more, feel free to email me at lenorafosteredd@gmail.com and I will respond to you. Thank you. Until next time.